Okay guys, long time no see, but we finally have some news about episode 7 because Gooseworx decided to open the ask box on her Tumblr and she answered some pretty interesting questions which I'm gonna share in this video. So first off, someone asked Gooseworx if she's sure there is no romance in the show, and her answer was literally just, "I don't know man," which honestly sounds like she's being sarcastic, but then she added more clarity later because apparently it was upsetting people, and she said it means people are gonna interpret romance no matter what she does. And this is actually pretty important when you think about it, because now we know that Ribbit's pronouns are she and they, which Gooseworx confirmed when someone asked about Ribbit's gender, and this could completely change everything we thought we knew about Jax's backstory. Because think about it, if people are gonna see romance no matter what Gooseworx does, then maybe there actually was something between Jax and Ribbit, or maybe it was between Kaufmo and Ribbit, and Jax was their third friend who had to watch whatever happened between them. And honestly, this would explain so much about why Jax is the way he is now. Because if he either lost someone he had feelings for, or if he watched his two best friends be together and then one of them abstracted, that's the kind of trauma that would completely mess someone up. But here's where things get really interesting, because in episode 6, when Jax is talking to Pomni about how people act before they abstract, he specifically says you didn't even know him. And at the time we thought that he was talking about both Kaufmo and Ribbit, but now it's pretty clear he was only talking about Kaufmo. Like Pomni never actually met Kaufmo, only after he abstracted, so when Jax says
"You didn't even know him!"
he's describing what it was like to be around Kaufmo specifically, not Ribbit. Which means maybe Ribbit's abstraction was different or happened under completely different circumstances. And this actually makes me think that maybe Jax sees Pomni as similar to Ribbit in some way, whether that's platonic or romantic, because we've seen how Jax genuinely enjoys Pomni's company in episodes 5 and 6, and then he gets super defensive the moment Pomni points it out. Like in episode 6 when Pomni mentions that they had fun together. After that, Jax literally has a panic attack and starts pushing her away, and maybe that's because Pomni reminds him of Ribbit, and getting close to her is bringing back all these memories he's been trying to repress. Because Gooseworx actually said once that Jax has issues with himself that he needs to work out when someone asks why is he the meanest with the girls. Now of course, other than them, it's only Kinger in the circus, and we know Kinger must be pretty hard to bully since he's so out of it most of the time. But what if Jax's issues with himself are specifically about how he failed to save Ribbit, or about whatever complicated feelings he had about her before she abstracted, and now he's taking all of that out on the other female characters because he doesn't know how else to process it. And honestly, the fact that Gooseworx clarified that people will ship characters no matter what she does probably means that nothing's actually gonna be canon, or at least it won't make a huge difference to the story. Like we know that Queenie was Kinger's wife, but we probably won't see that relationship unless Queenie shows up in a flashback in her original form before she abstracted, because the show isn't really about romance, it's about trauma and how people cope with being trapped in this nightmare circus. But what really got me thinking is when someone asked Gooseworx to share a line from episode 7 and she said, "I'm gonna be sick, that was everything, oh my god." And based on everything we know about episode 7, this line could be coming from literally any character reacting to something absolutely devastating, because we already know from previous updates that episode 7 is gonna divide the fandom and upset certain types of fans, and both Gooseworx and Michael Kovac have been warning people about how intense it's gonna be. And when you connect this to the fact that episode 7 is gonna be a day at the beach episode, which completely contradicted everyone's expectations, it seems like whatever happens in this episode is gonna be the moment where all of Jax's repressed trauma finally comes to the surface. Like maybe that line is someone reacting to finally learning the truth about what happened between Jax and Ribbit, or maybe it's Jax himself finally breaking down completely after everything that happened in episode 6. However, I also want to talk about something else Gooseworx mentioned, because when someone asked her how she feels about making it halfway through the amazing digital circus, her answer was just tired, because she's talked before about feeling burnt out, and when you think about the responsibility of running a show this massive, and she never really expected to get this popular, it makes sense that she's been exhausted. Like she has millions of people analyzing every single frame, dealing with content farms exploiting building her characters, managing a whole production team, and trying to tell this incredibly complex emotional story, while also dealing with fan expectations and harassment from toxic groups like the UTTP. And the fact that when someone asked what her favorite episode is, she said probably episode 8 or 4. That's pretty telling, because episode 8 is one we haven't seen yet, which means she knows what's coming and she's already prepared for how intense the rest of the series is gonna be. Because if episode 7 is supposed to divide the fandom and episode 8 is one of her favorites, then maybe episode 8 is when we finally get some kind of resolution, or where the story shifts in a direction that makes all the pain worth it. But someone also asked if Gooseworx would change anything about the amazing digital circus if she could, and she said she'd probably change some of the dialogue and voice directing to be a little more dry, which is honestly really interesting, because it suggests she wants the show to feel even more emotionally detached in certain moments. Like maybe she thinks some scenes came across as too expressive and they should have been more subtle and understated, which would actually make the emotional moments hit even harder. And when someone asked if there's gonna be more singing moments in future episodes, Gooseworx said definitely not, which honestly makes sense because the show isn't a musical and the only singing we've really had was Pomni and Jack singing the Daisy Bell song, so it seems like it was just a specific character moment rather than a pattern that's gonna continue throughout the series. But I also want to mention that when someone asked about episode 9 quotes, Gooseworx said no episode 9 quotes allowed, which honestly just makes me more curious about what's gonna happen in the final episode, because if she's being that protective about it, then it's probably gonna be something massive that would completely spoil the entire series if we knew about it too early. And honestly, when you put all of these answers together, it really seems like Gooseworx has this entire story planned out from the beginning to the end, because she confirmed that she plans everything out before she begins, so she can properly set things up that will be relevant later, which means every single detail we've seen so far has been intentional. Like the fact that we first saw Ribbit's door in episode 1 and then in episode 5 during the intermission scene, and we're still learning new information about her character now. That's not an accident, that's Gooseworx building towards something specific. But the thing that really worries me is that if episode 7 really is gonna be as divisive as everyone's been warning, and if it's about Jax's relationship with Ribbit and whatever happened between them, then maybe we're about to learn something that completely changes how we see Jax as a character. Because right now we know he's hurt and traumatized and pushing everyone away. But what if the truth about what happened with Ribbit is something that makes him way less sympathetic than we thought? Or what if it reveals that his toxic behavior is actually way worse than just being a defense mechanism? And actually the fact that Gooseworx still says Jax is her favorite character even after everything is pretty interesting, because it suggests that whatever we learn about him in episode 7, it's not gonna make her stop caring about him as a character, which maybe means that the reveal is gonna be complicated and morally ambiguous, rather than just making him an outright villain. Like maybe the truth about Ribbit is something that's simultaneously devastating and understandable. Something that explains why Jax is so broken but doesn't excuse his behavior. But let me know what you think about all these updates and theories down in the comments. Thanks for watching, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.